Welcome to Fourth and Forever, the flagship show of Roundtable Sports Network. Join hosts Dan, Richie, and TD as they break down the latest news and storylines across the NFL, featuring game predictions, breakdowns, heated debates, live Patreon callers, and everything in between. Catch Fourth and Forever every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern on the Roundtable Sports YouTube channel. Roundtable Sports Network is your one-stop shop for all things NFL, with daily live shows covering all 8 divisions in the league, hosted by the best content creators on the web, all on one network. Catch the AFC East live every Monday at 7 p.m. and on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. The AFC West Roundtable live Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. The AFC North Roundtable live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. The AFC South Roundtable live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. The NFC East Roundtable live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. The NFC West Roundtable live at 9 p.m. on Tuesday nights. The NFC North Roundtable is at 6 p.m. on Wednesdays, and the NFC South Roundtable is live Tuesdays at 8 p.m. EST. And of course, Fourth and Forever, the flagship show of Roundtable Sports Network, covering all things NFL at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Roundtable Sports YouTube channel. Real coverage, real fans.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Come one, come all. We're going to have a great show today. Make sure you punch that like button. Let your friends and family members know that we are live, and we are here on Friday. And TD has taken over this Friday. Dan Mitchell is going to handle next Friday. But here we are on the flagship daily NFL show, Fourth and Forever. We got a lot to talk about. I want to tell you how I view the NFL these days, and I also want to get into that game last night, which was a crazy thriller that I'm really excited about. But before we get started, make sure you punch that like button and do me a favor, chime in the comment section right now. Let me know where you're from. Give me the city that you are from, or country if you're not here in the U.S. Go ahead and let me know where you're from. Just want to see who's all checking in. And when you let me know where you're from, share the video. Hit that share button and put it out in your social sphere so that we can let people know that we are live Monday through Friday here on Fourth and Forever to give them the latest updated news. Shout out to Eric from Los Angeles, Miami, Florida. Go Bills. We got Bills fans in Miami. Iowa, Northeast New Jersey is in the house. South Central Los Angeles, California. We got Nassau, Bahamas in the house. West Palm Beach, Naples, Florida, Fresno Valley, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Corvette Assembly, Bowling Green, Kentucky. Wow. South Carolina, Lancaster, Dayton, Ohio. Man, from the streets. We'll stop right there. All right. All right, y'all. Let's get into it. First and foremost, I want to go ahead and dive right into the action that took place last night. Now, TD got to get used to hosting the show on his own every 3 Fridays. So, Richie's the guru. He the graphics. He have all that. So your boy, I may not have all the best graphics and all of that stuff, but I'm going to give you the best show that I possibly can. All right. All right. But last night, Macaroni Jones, anybody? Mac Jones? Wow. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I was highly impressed with his performance last night. I'm highly impressed with how he handles himself with the media. Mac Jones, man, the San Francisco 49ers made him look like I don't want to get too far ahead of myself and say elite, but they made him look like a great franchise quarterback. They made Mac Jones look like a great franchise quarterback. Let me tell you what I was most impressed about with Mac Jones last night. It wasn't how surgical he was with the football, as I see some people in the chat putting it, Jets forever. It wasn't The fact that, he basically he was really clean in this game, delivered the football with confidence. But what stood out the most to me was that this man was in that backfield getting absolutely destroyed all night, taking hit after hit after hit, but it did not stop him from delivering the football. All these people out here always complaining about, the O-line, if the O-line was better, we'd be doing better. What you need is a quarterback that, regardless of the things that are an issue around them, they're coming to deliver. They're coming to deliver. No excuses. This man didn't have a receiving core last night that we all know. Ayuk, all these guys gone. This man's O-line was depleted. They were getting him absolutely hammered. And despite all of that, he did his thing last night. I'm going to be honest with you. I've seen Purdy play some great games, but that's right up there. Got to be right up there with any of Purdy's best games. And here's why that amazes me. Here we are playing Purdy, the kind of money that they are, but this system that's being run, it allows above average quarterbacks to look really good. But this was a little different. This wasn't the dink and dunk corral last night. Usually you get, the quarterback looked good in a dink and dunk corral. But no, Mac Jones did not limit any pass in the arsenal. Intermediate, quick, decisive, everything. Just delivered the football in double coverage, triple coverage, right on the money. Finding his primary weapon in Christian McCaffrey all night. Big ups to Mac Jones, leading the San Francisco 49ers to a 4-1 record. And I didn't even realize that, how low-key, regardless of all the injuries, that team is still winning. That team was still winning. And Mac Jones is playing for his next year's contract. Look out, Jets fans. He might be a Jet next year. Look out, Dolphin fans. Look out, Carolina fans. Look out, New Orleans Saints fans. He could very well be your starter next year. And I'm not going to say anything's wrong with that, because how he played last night shows you the potential. And here's the beautiful thing about it. It's not like anything around him was carrying him. See, this is the conversation I always get into with people. It's not like what was around him was carrying him to say, it's Mac Jones, it's the talent on the team. You can't say that. You absolutely can't say that. The man was trying to escape for his life and getting hit hard all game. The man didn't have a full plethora of weapons, and he still did a little bit of carrying in the game. It wasn't going along for the ride, because guess what? When it comes to Brock Purdy, I've seen Brock Purdy go along for the ride with a whole bunch of weapons, and as soon as a lot of those weapons got hurt, Brock Purdy looked pretty bad in some games in his career so far. 2 years ago, missed three. His stars were missing 3 games, like 2 or 3 key stars. Looked horrible. They lost all the games. The year after, had a 2-game stint like that or something. Same thing. But in this case, Mac Jones comes in and he takes care of business. That's what I appreciate in the NFL, guys who can still take care of business regardless of the circumstance being less than. Those are the guys that's worth investing in. Those are the guys that you really want to say, hey, there may be something here that can be sustainable and long term. But instead, we pay quarterbacks over $50 million who's been carried by the team. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say Brock Purdy's being carried completely by the team, because he still has to deliver and perform. But that's a big boost when everything around you is perfect. Guys like Purdy, guys like Tua Tagovailoa and others. And it amazes you at some point. Look at the money that they're able to earn, and not that, again, let me give my Cam Newton disclaimer. I'm not pocket watching, but just whenever you talk football and you talk about the comparisons and you got the actual carrying quarterbacks, Josh Allen, and all those guys, you actually have carrying quarterbacks making less. Doesn't make sense. And then you have a backup quarterback making peanuts come in and play, some could argue, better than the starter. Something's off. But the 49ers will figure it out. It's not like there's going to be a controversy. You just paid your quarterback, and there's not going to be any type of, well, maybe we should know. This is the bed you made. You got to lay in it. And all our guy Mac Jones is doing is auditioning for his team next year to hopefully get a chance to actually start and get back in that starting graces. That's it. But as we go on to the other side of the field, you talk about the Rams, who's been a really good team, or have they, this season. Falling to 3-2, now not in control of the lead in the division behind the 49ers. And technically at this very moment behind the Seahawks because they haven't played yet, but we'll see how that goes. And you come out in the game and all night you're just blowing it over and over and over again. 2 critical fumbles, missed field goals, missed PATs. Unable to convert on critical downs, taking unnecessary risks late in the game. But I will say it's not a moment where it's time to panic for the Rams. Stafford was absolutely non-existent in the first half, and all of a sudden in the second half, he became Tom Brady. He absolutely went insane in the second half, and I knew, that would happen because when you're behind and you put Stafford in his strength of just slinging the rock all around the field, it works. And sometimes I wonder to myself in the NFL, why is it offenses is usually its most productive, right? Whenever it's time to just sling the rock around the field. Now, some people will be like, oh, well, it's garbage time. Teams are in prevent. They just don't want to give anything up. But the game last night had nothing to do with that. Although they were down big, they still never were out of the game. And the 49ers were playing a base defense. But it's just amazing to me that when it's time to just spread it out and throw the ball around the field, you look like the best version of yourselves. And sometimes it makes me wonder. If an obvious situation, down by 2 or 3 scores, and you got to throw the rock for the rest of the night, and the 49ers know you got to throw the football, and you're still bleeding them throwing the football, why wouldn't that type of offense just work in the first half? Like the best weapon on your team is Stafford throwing the football to Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, and company. I don't understand why teams don't just come out and throw the ball 45 times. Teams like that, at least. Not every team. Some teams require the balance. But when you got a quarterback and the weapons like that, why don't you just sling the rock around? And then if you take control of the game, you get into your run bag to, control the clock. And I know the football heads are going to say, yeah, but you got to have balance and this and that and this. Well, what's the excuse when you're not allowed to have balance and you got to go get it and you're successful all the time? And I never understand that. If that's the strength of your offense, do it until they stop it and require you to do other things. Teams will try to play the methodical game the whole time and wait till they're down and start airing it out to come back. And then it's always too little too late. Never understood that. And vice versa. If the best thing of your team is running the football, why not just keep handing it off? Now, I understand the minds of the game. Well, you want to, get them off. I'm just saying, just something to think about. But it was a good game last night. Went into overtime. And again, this overtime rule Has a lot of people wondering, should we execute it this way? I personally feel like it was all perfectly fine last night because the Rams decided they wanted to take that type of risk and they failed in the process. So with that being said, the coach took all the ownership as he should, and we move on to the next week. So that's that game. I want to get into some of the other games this week, but I'm going to zoom through them because I want to talk about the state of the NFL today in the show. And hopefully it's a little bit more informative and give you something to think about. But I want to go backwards here. Jacksonville, Kansas City, they're going to be playing on Monday Night Football. And a lot of people are saying that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to lose to the Jaguars. Now, from my understanding, the Jaguars are at home in this one, and the Chiefs have to go on the road in perfect weather, 79 degrees. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me and listen to me clearly. The Jags are not going to win this game. The Chiefs are the superior team. They're going to go into Jacksonville and take care of business. The Jags are not a good team. They are not as good as their 3-1 record would suggest. This is my honest opinion on the Jacksonville Jaguars. As long as they have Trevor Lawrence, they will always be good enough not to be good enough, in my opinion. They beat the Panthers. Hoorah. The Texans, who struggled, division rival. Now, the one win that was impressive, especially based off of what happened recently, was the 49ers, but that was an injured, not healthy Brock Purdy. Now they go on a stretch of games where they're going to be tested 3 weeks in a row, and it's going to tell you everything you need to know about the Jacksonville Jaguars, in which they play the San Francisco 49ers, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Seahawks, all three competitive teams. And I'll tell you this. You go 3-0, you're legit. You go 2-1, you're legit. But 1-2, you're better than I thought. 0-3, you're exactly who I thought you were. These next 3 games are going to be a better determination for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But for the Kansas City Chiefs, I look for them to roll because just like the Buffalo Bills, the Kansas City Chiefs, they silently just keep stacking wins. That's how it works. They silently stack wins. And you look up and it's week 16 and you're like, they already have that many wins? Wow. I thought they were struggling. Because they may struggle early, and then you look up and you're like, wow. That's how that works. Then you have the Washington Commanders and the LA Chargers, which is going to be another great game. And the reason why that game is going to be great, Jaden Daniels is scheduled to return. Let's see how he can capitalize with this team, get him out of the 500 race, see if he can go above it. But you got the Chargers coming off of a tough loss. You have the Chargers coming off of a tough loss when they didn't know what to do last week when the offensive linemen were falling like flies. Against the Giants, might I add. But in this matchup, I look for the Chargers to bounce back. Jaden Daniels to have a rough day on his first time back. And I think the Chargers will actually get the win in this one. And again, they're home. And they're undefeated at home. And I believe that they go 4-1 and continue to put the pressure on the Chiefs. But the Commanders will make it a game. They will be very competitive. But Herbert has to make sure he doesn't turn the football over. He was clean 3 weeks in a row, and then in 1 week alone, stacked them up. Something that just can't happen. But I look forward to watching that game as well. A game I don't look forward to watching is the Lions and Bengals, as the Lions are about to beat the Bengals. Honestly, we might want to call, some type of law enforcement in this game because the Bengals are about to get destroyed in a disrespectful way. And I'm not going to elaborate too much into that game. But what I will tell you, for me, ladies and gentlemen, the game of the week this week is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Seattle Seahawks. 2 teams is 3-1. 2 teams trying to right the ship in their division. And this is a huge game because I feel like these teams are equally yoked. Like they're matched up perfectly. They both have a quarterback who's playing at a really good level right now, as Sam Darnold statistically is right there with Baker Mayfield. Like, they're both, like, stats are identical, but Seattle also has Kenneth Walker, JSN, and Baker, no matter who he has, he's gonna be a weapon and a threat. This was the hardest game for me to pick, which led me to believe that the Seahawks are gonna come out of this game victorious because, number one, they have home field advantage. They'll be at home, perfect weather, 63 degrees, obviously, inside. Um, and I just think that they'll have enough to get the job done in this one. I kinda get, tired of Baker and company being that flashy team in the fourth quarter that makes the run or the comeback. In games like this, you gotta be sound throughout. It can't be a comeback. It can't be a, "Oh my gosh, miraculous things happening in the fourth quarter." It has to be 4 quarters of football. 4 quarters of football, period. Okay? So those are, um, the primary games that I really wanted to talk about before I get into my main subject of the day, which is my thoughts on the state of the NFL. Now, before I get into that, I just want to ask everyone in the chat, do you hear me crystal clear? Because someone did say, um, yes, micro choppy. Are you talking about mic? My microphone is choppy because I don't want any mic issues. Let me know in the chat, yes or no, is my mic still choppy right now? It's better now. It was. Okay, I'm sorry about that, but hopefully we're good now. I think what was happening, one of my windows had some audio playing, and that messed it up. One moment, y'all. Let me set something. All right, we should be good now. All right. I want to talk about the current state of the NFL. Usually we're reacting to games. Usually we're predicting them or reacting to them. We're talking about, most recent news. But I wanted to go ahead and share my thoughts on the game of football in relation to the NFL. And I want to do this because I want to put you in the thought process of how I think about some of the things in regards to the game of football in the NFL. So let me go ahead and break into it with you all, okay? So this is more so like a monologue talking to you about, the thought process of the NFL. So TD Goodell, you know what? TD's Goodell moment. That's what we're going to do every 3 weeks. We're going to have a TD Goodell moment, okay? But let's dive into it, all right? So as we all are football fans, a lot of times we root for our teams and we enjoy, the back and forth about why our teams are better than other teams or why they aren't. But I've become a huge fan of the NFL in general, not just the Miami Dolphins, the NFL in general. Because what many of you may not know, there is a business side to me in my life, and I follow, major corporations to see how they operate. Because one day Roundtable Sports is going to be at an ESPN level. That's the reality. But I follow the NFL, and I think it's just very intriguing that the product of the NFL is, in my opinion, unmatched. The product of the NFL is unmatched. It amazes me the revenue that the NFL generates and how collective bargaining agreements or network agreements, sometimes they can cut them early just to renegotiate for more money early. You don't even have to finish the term. And it made me realize, man, this product is as strong as it has ever been. Well, as fans, we complain about things in the NFL and things of that nature, but this product is as strong as it's ever been. It's the one product that I've come to the conclusion that can't be canceled, which I think is beautiful because I'm sick of the old cancel culture stuff. But it's the one product that just can't be canceled. No matter what the controversy is, no matter what the disagreement, political views, or anything, this is the product that can't be canceled, which makes it that much stronger. That much stronger, which gives several young men and women opportunities, the jobs that they provide, all the players whose lives are changed, all the coaching staffs whose lives are changed, the staffs in every building whose lives are changed, to be associated with the NFL. And the NFL has goals, and people don't realize what those goals are. They don't realize that the NFL, I believe, eventually they will be overseas. I can see in the next 20 years, it could be 5 years from now, 10 years, or introduced in 20, there will be an official division or team located overseas. You think this stuff is just for teaser fun, leasing? Hey, we got a contract for 4 more games in Dublin and this and that. You think that's just teaser fun? Every organization's main priority is to grow. A lot of people are like, yeah, but the profits, yeah, they're profitable. But the goal is to grow, because the more you grow, the more profits you can achieve. And the NFL slightly showing you small little things that represent growth. For those who haven't been paying attention, let me give you an example of growth. We used to go from one international game overseas. Everybody knew who was going and what it was. Now we're having 4 or 5 or how many ever overseas. That's growth. That's more revenue for another set of viewers that otherwise might have not have been exposed or had an opportunity to experience the game. That's huge. What else shows the growth in the NFL? You can look at the TV deals. It used to be, one massive major TV deal. They bought the rights. Bam, we got it. Salary cap, 120. Now it's, you want Thursday night? Okay. I'm just throwing names up. Prime Video? Okay. Thursday night it is. And a matter of fact, we're going to charge you more than it would have been if it was a whole package deal. Oh, you want Monday nights? All right, you done had it for a while. Let's extend the lease. Oh, you want Sunday nights? You've had it for a while. Let's extend it. Oh, occasional Friday? Let's do it. Matter of fact, let's go double headers on every other Monday. Some of y'all may have not have noticed that. Every other Monday, there's a double header. Used to be just one game. Every other, it's a doubleheader. Now on Thanksgiving and Christmas times, we got Black Fridays. We got all of this expansion subtly that you're not noticing. How about moving from 16 games to 17 games? 1/17 of an increase in revenue, which is huge. Oh, we don't have to stop there. How about instead of 6 playoff teams, let's go 7? It's a difference. A whole nother stadium, 2 stadiums open. 2 more teams get involved. The sport is growing and it's healthier than it's ever been. But let me tell you one of the major factors and reasons why that a lot of people aren't realizing. The talent pool is improving. The talent pool of the product is improving. This is the most unnoticeable thing that no one thinks about. You remember whenever you had your eras where it was only 3 elite quarterbacks, and maybe they weren't even elite, but we looked at them as elite because they were the 3 top guys. Any given year that can span to 8, 9, or 10. And we're not talking about just Mahomes, Allen, Lamar. But now in the NFL, you have the subcategory of guys that's fringe, almost there, like the Burrows, like the Dax and the Loves, and any given year, the CJ Strouds or the Jaden Daniels coming on the scene. The amount of great players at every position is also increasing. But what does that mean for the product of the league? More teams have more weapons now. Y'all remember how it used to be? Oh, it was only 2 teams. Put it like this. Here's the perfect example. Remember how it used to be 10 teams got a top receiver? Have you noticed at least 6 teams got 2 or 3 of them? I want y'all to really think about that. It used to be Calvin Johnson, one-man show. This guy, one-man show. That guy, one-man show. Now it's almost a given to have at least half the year, half the season, the league got a pair. At least half the league got a pair now. Tyreek Waddle, Chase Higgins. All over the NFL. The subtle things we don't notice. Pass rushers galore all up and down the league. Used to know the main 4 guys, but now you look, it's about 25 top guys actually in the pass. Like every team got a dog on the edge. And that's where you have to pay attention to the success of the NFL. What do I mean by that? I said this a few weeks ago, and a lot of people may not have noticed. Do you know what the ultimate goal for the NFL is? The elasticity, the optimal point, the bell curve, the top point where the NFL wants the league to be. I'm going to tell y'all what that is. 5 years ago, the league would have loved for everybody to be 8-8. Now, 8-9 and 9-8 is the goal. The more teams we have 8-9 or 9-8 is the optimal earning potential situation for the NFL. So when you got Buffalo winning 15 and Saints winning 2, they don't like that. They take it. It's okay. But the league makes the most money. They get the most attention, the most views. The further away from 14, 15, 16 wins, and the further away from 2, 3, 4 wins. Bunching everybody is as close as possible, and they're working towards that to keep producing talent. Let's keep on bringing in talent. It's a natural thing in evolution. It's just like basketball. People relate on this more. The guys today are faster in all sports. They're faster. They jump higher. They move quicker. They skill levels improve just from natural evolution, but it's so marginal you don't notice it. But over a 20-year span, and when you look back 20 years, that's when you finally notice. 20 years ago, these guys weren't moving like this. They were moving, but this is a little bit different. This is a little bit more. And you just keep evolving, all sports. And guys are getting better. They're getting faster. We used to be like, man, he ran a 4.4. Wow. Now we like, man, he ran a 4.3. He ran a 4.29. You just got to pay attention over time. So as the league gets better, as the league gets more and more competitive, the league wants 32 Tom Brady's if they can have it. They want 32 Derrick Henrys or Saquons if they can have it. 32 Chase Tyreeks or whatever. Matter of fact, they want 64 of those. TD Bo Jackson ran a 4.2. Yeah, but he was the Lone Ranger, probably in a 10-year span. You might have somebody run a 4.29 in today once a year. That's my point. They're pumping out more. The volume of talent is coming out faster. Here's another way to prove it. Certain positions used to have 13, 14, 15-year shelf life in the NFL. Now a lot of them are right around that 8 to 10 range, most positions. Like back then, guys used to have 14-year careers in a lot of them. Now, only a handful of guys having 13, 14-year careers. And that's why it's also going to get tricky when we start talking Hall of Fame, because the life expectancy of an NFL player, and when I say life expectancy, which is life in the league, is reducing because more talent is coming in to replace them quicker. Teams are more inclined to move on from a 9-year veteran at running back and go with the 3rd round rookie. The evolution of the NFL. And these are the things I pay attention to whenever I study the game and give my breakdown and my analysis of it within my predictions. Now, I know my predictions, I like to have fun and tease the Bills and other teams like that. I'm having fun. But a lot of my predictions when it comes to just the league in general, how teams are going to be long term, I ain't tooting my own horn, but I be pretty spot on. Because what's happening in the NFL today, people always argue football based off of history. In today's world, you can no longer argue anything off of history because the factors have changed. The factors that surrounded the league when Tom Brady came in are no longer the factors that are surrounding the league today. No longer. When the highest paid quarterback used to make $9 million, and at the time it might have been 10% of the salary cap. And today's quarterbacks making $50 million, and that's literally about 20% of the salary cap or more. You cannot compare previous times of how the game is played and how you're supposed to structure a team with the current times. And you have to think about that. And a lot of people are stuck in the middle of, man, it's been this way since the beginning. Football is football. This is the evolved game of it now. And 20 years from now is going to be the new evolved game then. And the longer the NFL is alive, the quicker it will evolve because it's a well-oiled machine now. It's not trial and error. The product is built out. Now it has to perform and just keep on being advanced to give you something new. It's a different league. This is why I try to stress to people. Anything is possible. But here's what I have learned about the NFL. If you want your franchise to win a Super Bowl, this is what general managers and front offices and executives need to consider. The current element, not the 1980, 1990, early 2000s element that you were a part of that got you in the position you were today. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't even work anymore. But you're holding on to it because it got you where you were. So why do I say all of that? Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. This is theoretically my stance on how things are going in the NFL and what everybody's missing for your team to win or really compete for a Super Bowl. The first thing is to understand that anything is possible. But in the game of football now, you are better off going off of probability, not possibility. Too many people evaluate the game using possibility instead of probability. Name the worst quarterback in the NFL right now. Put it in the chat. Your opinion. Y'all tell me right now, in your opinion, who's the worst quarterback in the NFL that you feel like they'll never win a Super Bowl? Not with that guy. Put it in the chat. I knew somebody was going to say Tua, but that's false. Let's be fair here. Come on. Give me the worst. Non-Tua, okay? Oh, man. So someone says Justin Fields. Okay, so which I disagree. Let's go with Browning, just hypothetically. That way nobody gets in their feelings on my take, okay? Let's go with Browning. See, as football fans, we all know what Browning is. Is Browning the guy you look at and you say, we're going to win a Super Bowl with this guy? We just got to build around him right. No, he's not. But since you drafted him in the first round, even though we know he wasn't, but I'm using an example, an analogy here. But since we drafted him in the first round and we're a fan of the team, in our mind, yeah, man, that's our guy. He's good enough. He can win us a Super Bowl. You're right. It is possible. But is it probable? The probability that happens is probably 0.0000001% chance. That's the probability. And fan bases now bet on odds like that. That's an issue in the NFL today. You know the guys who have it and who don't. Now, for Browning to win a Super Bowl, what would Browning need for that probability to come to fruition? He probably needs the best O-line in the NFL from the left to the right side. He probably needs one of the best and all-pro tight end to be a safety blanket. He probably needs a top 3 running game in the NFL so you don't have to rely on Browning all the time. You could just hand it off and Saquon, Derrick Henry this thing, okay? You need probably some of the best receivers in the NFL so you can get the ball in their hands and they can make plays. You're also probably going to need a historic defense that holds teams to less than 17 points a game to give you the best chance to win games. And probably a Hall of Fame coach. Now, ladies and gentlemen, how many teams every year have that? Put it in the chat. How many teams every year have all those things I just named? Put it in the chat. This is an interactive stream today. Put it in the chat. How many teams in the NFL every year have all of that? All of that. Somebody, the first answer I got was 2 to 3. Where? You are not going to get past 1 in any given year. What 2 to 3 are you talking about? Right now, everybody says Philly. Okay, let's give you that. KC for 8 years now, which is false, King Jamie. Patrick Mahomes won a Super Bowl with 2 of the worst tackles in the NFL 2 or 3 years ago. 2 of the worst tackles in the NFL. Remember when the defense wasn't as good and Patrick Mahomes in the offense with Tyreek carried them? And now the offense isn't that good, but the defense carries? So they didn't even have it all. They had an elite quarterback. See, we're not talking about elite quarterbacks. We're talking about that lowest of lowest probability guy at quarterback, what he needs all around him. How many teams have that? Oh, one factor I forgot. They also need to not have a high number of injuries. They also got to not have a high number of injuries happen to them to win a Super Bowl. That's the factor I missed out on. So outside of the Eagles, there ain't a team right now that follows in that category. Some could debate the Eagles too, but that's Adam. My point that I'm getting to is maybe one team a year, and usually that team holds on to it for 3 or 4 years. So You're trying to pursue that when only one team a year does it, and that team already spoken for. That team's already spoken for. That team's already spoken for. And this is what people do. They sit back and they talk about, like, we got a lot of fans in here. We got a lot of fans in here from different teams. Everybody think their problems are exclusive to them when 20 teams in the NFL going through the same thing. It's not the quarterback, it's the O-line. Fix the O-line. It's not the O-line. We don't have weapons. Fix the weapons. It's not the offense, it's the defense. Fix the corners. It's not the defense still struggling because we don't have a pass rush. Fix the pass rush. Oh my gosh, we fixed all them. Now the O-line is a problem again. Try to fix the O-line and make the defense half. Like this is what every fan base is doing. It's a rat race, a continuous cycle of, okay, this is the problem this year. Now that's the problem this year. Okay, and some of you don't even fix the original. Why? I'm giving the benefit of the doubt to say that's the problem, they fix it. Now that's the problem, they fix it. Now that's the problem. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. Some of you don't even fix the original problem. But do you see how the Dolphins can go 20 years without a playoff win? The Bills can go 17 years without making it to the playoffs until they get an elite quarterback. The Jets can go forever without. A lot of teams can go so long without ever winning a Super Bowl. Do you see how time can just fly because you're still, ladies and gentlemen, everybody needs an elite quarterback. And if he ain't elite quarterback doesn't need the best O-line in the league. Maybe he still needs a above average one, yeah, but not the best. See, we complain. Some of y'all have above average O-lines and complain like they're the worst in the league because you don't even know. You don't pay attention to the other teams. So I always try to tell people, if your quarterback's up here, your team can be here. Now, the bottom is the bottom, and this is average. If the quarterback is up here, your team around them can be average. The lower the quarterback gets, the higher that team needs to be. So as y'all keep getting these average quarterbacks, please understand how much what this looks like up here for the rest of the team. How much you need to achieve this. And listen to me, it is hard to raise this side. This side, it ain't as hard to raise, but you don't know because you stick with the same guy for 7 years and say it's hard to find a good quarterback. Of course it's hard when you stick with one every 7 years. You believe in the one every 7 years. This is why I'm the guy that I'm out here in the football community preaching the same thing. Draft the quarterback until you find one. So if you're one of these organizations that keep struggling at the quarterback position or have an average guy or an above average guy, and you're still hoping you can unlock him with all kind of things that he can't, draft a quarterback, put him out there and see if he does spectacular things. If he doesn't, guess what? He may have some skill. Trade him. Get the next one next year. See if he has spectacular things. Statistically, if I draft 7 quarterbacks in the first round 7 years in a row, I have a great probability of finding a dude. Finding one of them guys. But you know what we do? We get that one and say, yeah, but, give them time to develop. Y'all always pick the one-offs. The one every 30 quarterbacks that did start out rough and then improve later on. And let me help you with this too. It's about to get worse. People are going to be deceived even more. You want to know why? Because of guys like Sam Darnold. Because of all the guys like Geno Smith. Guys like that are going to make you even more delusional against the probabilities. I'm here to tell y'all right now, Geno Smith and Sam Darnold are wasting their team's time. Yes, right now things are looking good, but also go look at those rosters. They're much better and improved, but also look at those players when it matters most. Last year, Sam Darnold earned a resurrection in his career, but nobody talks about the the 3 games in the regular season that he played against actually great teams. He was horrific. Go look him up. First round of the playoffs. Horrific. We love judging quarterbacks when they play the Saints every week. The Dolphins, the Jets. We love when they throw for 300 yards against the Saints with 4 touchdowns. Oh, man, he's with wide open receivers in the run game, everything working. We love looking at that. And if they got 10, 12 games like that in a year, oh, they resurrected their career, pay the man. But never pay attention to them 3 games that mattered most against real teams, and they look worse than they thought you were when you first got them and didn't want them. When you said they were bums and didn't want them, before they revived their career, they looked even worse. We ignore that stuff. This is why teams are stuck in purgatory year after year after year, because they believe in something that they want to turn into something because they're hoping for the Drew Brees effect, the rarest of effects. Like, I want y'all to do this real quick. How many quarterbacks started out terrible in the NFL, and then after a 15-year career, you looked up and said, man, if they would have gave up on him, that would have been a big mistake. He ended up being one of the greats all time. How many? How many do you know? How many do you know? That's why I keep hearing everybody talk about Drew Brees. The one-offs. The one-offs. And I'm not saying a guy can't be good on a loaded team and just randomly win a Super Bowl, but you'll never have a dynasty with him. You'll never have anything sustainable with him. Nick Foles, anybody? Trent Dilfer? Flacco? But when I say those 3 names, that's still a small sample size. Still a small sample size. And what people need to realize is stop pointing out the small sample sizes like it's a normal practice. Drew Brees did it. Rare. Peyton Manning, rare. Who else? You might got to go back 20 years before that to find the other person. Somebody just said John Elway. You got to go back 20 years. And fans love playing the worst odds in the NFL. And you keep scratching your head like, man, why we can't get, like, I'm going to say this one more time, and I want this to register for a lot of y'all. And I hate, let me tell you what I hate about this conversation. Chiefs fans in here like, we ain't got these issues. Eagles fans like, man, is that bad out here? they're so removed from that. They don't even know what it feels like anymore. They don't even know what it feels like what delusion is. Because at least they understand you need one of those guys. The Bills knew what it was about for 17 years. Now, Bills fans' psyche is being healed. Bills fans that have been a fan for 15, 30, 50 years, they're being healed right now. Now, they still got to win a Super Bowl, but they're being healed because when you have an elite quarterback, you always got a seat at the table in the dance, talking real football. Like they're on a different level conversation. It's almost like, listen, 4 out of every 5 years, we're guaranteed to be in the dance, in the playoffs. competing past the first round. If you're probably one of the 4 teams that can say that, you're being healed. The Chiefs and the Eagles, they're being healed more than anybody. Why? Because the Eagles, they at least had a Super Bowl with the Foles in those guys, and they won a lot of games. And now they got a less than 7 years right back in a new era of it. Chiefs, don't forget, with Alex Smith and those guys, they were competing at a high level right into Mahomes, Super Bowls galore. They're being healed. They don't even know, they don't even belong in this conversation. Matter of fact, they look down on this conversation like, oh, there's a study to it. like they don't even know. But for the rest of us, man, and I'm talking to fans, because we're probably part of the bigger problem in the NFL. We don't hold our fan base, our organizations accountable. We actually go to war with each other on believing in that average or above average quarterback. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. I have a 10-tier quarterback ranking. Elite, great, really good, good, above average, average, below average, bridge, project, bum. That's what it is. That's my 10-tier quarterbacks. Now, when you get down to that number 3 bridge, it's subjective because it could be a bridge can be 7 or lower, but you're not there for the future. You can be good or lower. That's the bridge, but I put it at 3 because it's irrelevant. We're not looking at you as a long-term option. Russell Wilson, I don't care what he does. Nobody's signing him to a 5-year, $300 million deal at this point in no circumstance. He can go win somehow. Jackson Dart can get hurt. He can go be MVP and win a Super Bowl. He ain't getting another 5-year deal. 3, bridge. Okay? Now, what I want you to understand out of these 10 tiers, if you ain't top 3 tiers, forget about it. If you ain't elite, great, or really good, forget about it. You need too much on this side with that number 6, which is just good. You need too much over here to actually really feel good about a Super Bowl. Having a chance. Forget about it. And you know what the biggest problem in the league today is? There's 10 6s. There's 10 6s. No, 7, sorry. Get my numbers right. 7s. Because remember, 10 is great, elite, 9 is great, 8 is really good. The problem in the league today is there are 10 regular goods. Good enough not to be good enough. They 7s. If they were 8s, all the belief in the world, but they 7s. There's too many of them in the NFL. And that's what's confusing fans. Because can a 7 have an 8 moment? Yeah, he can have a 9 moment. He can also have a 10 moment. But y'all take those moments and act like that's what he lives in all day, every day. Y'all act like because you've seen him play at a 10 level, he lives there. No, he's a 7 that has had 8, 9, 10 moments, but has also had 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 moments. There's too many 7s, and fan bases are falling in love with the 7. But here's why you're falling in love with them. Because the quarterback you had before was a 5. The one you had before that was a 3. The one you had before that was a 6. The one you had before that was a 4. So when you get a 7, you're like, where you been all my life? Yeah, I see that pretty 8 over there, but you know what? You're mine. You're mine. I'm not going back to 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You may not be an 8, but I've never been at a 7, and I can't let this go. I need this 7. I need you. And you know what? I'm going to be here and have your back because I believe you're going to be an 8 one day. 7 years later, y'all don't get it, man. I know it's a 7, but at least give them 7.9. It's the O-line. It's the coach. It's the play calling. It's the defense. It's the tight end. Okay, he was bad this year, but this 1 year. This is what we do. Too many 7s that's good enough not to be good enough. And we hold on to them tight because it's better than all them 5, 6s we done had. And we don't realize in our mind, you still need an 8, bro. You still need an 8 at a minimum. And that's even tough to win it all. But you at least need an 8. But we out here clamoring to 7s. Tua Tagovailoa, Trevor Lawrence, Kyler Murray, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, if I'm going to be gracious. This is what we're doing. And there's more. There's more. There's more. We clamored to these guys. This is what the Ryan Tannehills was, the Andy Daltons, all those guys. This is what, like all of this for me, it started back in, this is what the Kaepernicks were. This is what they were. You know what? Baker Mayfield was in that category, but right now Baker has proven and fought himself to be an 8. In my opinion, Baker has fought himself hard to be an 8, and he is an 8. And that is a rare occasion. It's rare. And here's the kicker to it. Some of y'all glorify these 7s, and they don't even have the basic minimum 8 level intangibles. They don't even have that's a prerequisite. You at least got to have an 8 intangibles. You got to have a strong arm. Like you don't have to have it all, but you can't just have one superpower. Let me ask y'all a question. What is Trevor Lawrence? What's his superpower? What's his superpower? Anybody? Other than his hair growth and getting paid? Anybody? What's his superpower? What's Kyler Murray's superpower? Now they all, you can give them one, maybe, but when you go to guys like Lamar, his mobility, his improvisational skills, he's proven to actually be a great passer in this league that everybody labeled him not to be. He's proven it at this point. Big play ability, making something out of nothing ability. I like all of these things. Has a strong arm too. Can fling the rock down the field 60 plus. I just listed like 6, 7 things. But then we get to the 7s, and what we gonna get to 1, maybe 2 for some of them, and that's just trying to make other categories. That's what's happening in the league. So as y'all keep on embracing these 7s because you got trauma from all the 4s, 5s, and 6s, stop blaming everybody else around the team. Stop blaming everybody else around the team. I'm tired of watching these games of quarterbacks who O-line got them running for their life, receivers dropping passes, defense ain't playing worth of nothing, but somehow by the end of the game, their quarterback made 6, 7 crazy plays and they still won. If you ain't got one of them, y'all wasting y'all time. If you ain't got one of them, you wasting your time. I learned this about 4 years ago. It locked into my head because I'm trying to figure out what do we have to do. We done been through 25 quarterbacks in 25 years. And I realized, yeah, that's it. The Dolphins are a prime example. Over the last 25 years, we had a corner issue. 2 drafts in a row, top picks. We drafted corners. Vontae Davis, Sean Smith. You didn't notice 3, 4, 5, 6 years later, we had a corner issue again. Brent Grimes and da-da-da. Then 4 or 5 years later, we got a corner issue again. Byron Jones, Xavier Howard's invested in. 3 years later, another corner issue. Jalen Ramsey, Fuller. It's a cycle. The issue that's there today, it's going to be right back in 6 years. So when you try to address it today, next year you're going to try to address the O-line. Next year you're going to try to address the weapons, the wide receiver. Then you're going to be like, the reason we fell short because we didn't have a great running game to balance it out. Now we're year 4 handling the running back. But the corners are starting to get banged up and have career injuries. But now we still moving forward to the tight end. We need better edge rushers. Here we are, year 6. We getting edge rushers, and they're young. Now we back to the corners. Oh, they're getting old now. Y'all don't notice this cycle on every team, almost every team? This is a perpetual cycle. So I get it. Well, if you draft well and you do this and you do that, well, guess what? This ain't even if they play bad. I'm assuming they play good. And that cycle's still there. So you already behind the 8 ball. So I'm not saying, and I'll close with this, I'm not saying you don't need to fix your team. Everybody has to make their roster and their team better. But you got to start with the most important position. Because you can fix everything you want on your team. If that position isn't correct, you still have the lowest of probabilities. But if you address that position and find the official guy that, hey, ain't no shout. Nobody's doubting it. Everybody know this, that dude. Look at what he did year 1 and 2. Everybody know now. It's going to be easier to play that game of Jenga with the rest of the team when you do that. So when y'all getting mad out here and you're frustrated, just ask yourself, do you have a franchise quarterback? Then what you arguing about? You arguing about stuff that won't matter in the long run anyway, even if you fix it. And that's the delusion. Thinking that if you could just get it all fixed at once, then it's going to prove to everybody. Very small chance. So keep chasing that rarest of things. Keep playing the lottery. And I play the lottery here and there, but keep playing it. See, I play with an understanding I'm going to lose, but be okay with it and say, oh, but if I do, I can care less. But we out here, all right, we need to figure it. No, y'all invested. So keep on playing that crazy lottery. You need to be begging your team to get you an 8 or better and stop falling in love with the 7. But, I could be just talking right now because it's unfair for me to say that because some of y'all may not even be able to recognize the difference between a 7 and an 8. And there you have it. There go another major issue. But every 3 weeks when we do our Friday show, TD gonna educate you and try to show you. I'm gonna try to show my best to show you the differences and other stuff in the league, the different style of play. So we're gonna talk about all type of things football related on another level. All right, that's not just the X's and O's on the field because the game is vast beyond measure now. And I can't wait to get into things like salary cap, how certain teams are managing it and how others are. We'll talk about all those things. But thank y'all so much for tuning in. Love you. My bad. I didn't even know. My bad, y'all. I didn't even know that I was muted. But I was reading those super chats. So you saw them on the screen. But somebody left a super chat about the Jets. They're a prime example. Before I get out of here, they're a prime example. I feel like the last 4 years, the Jets have actually had a pretty good roster. 3 years maybe. But I feel like they've had a pretty good roster. But it's at that position. That position, the lack of stability. All right, y'all. But thank y'all so much again for tuning in to Fourth and Forever here on Friday, every 3 Fridays with TD. Dan has next up, and then Richie after that, and then I'll be back. All right. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the show. Trying to put a little different twist to it. We went over all the games and stuff, but talk about an actual subject. Talk about the health of the NFL, which is as healthy as it's ever been. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment in the comment section. Your thoughts on what we talked about. Am I tripping? Am I on point? What it is. All right. Love y'all. I will see y'all soon. Peace. I am out.